Okay, so here's a quick breakdown of my track that's coming out called Wana. I made this all in my bedroom where I'm now, as you can see, because COVID, it was hard to get to the studio. So let's have a quick look at what's here. So starting off, the vocal I got from this, I think I got from sounds.com.
Two-step for me, go right now. Two-step for me, go right now. Two-step for me, go right now. Two-step for me, go right now.
You can see my processing, just some compression, a bit of EQ. Gain match is the best thing in the world. It adjusts the volume of your plugin chain. So if you bypass your whole plugin chain, often things will get softer and it'll be hard to compare them, side by side. But gain match, you'll see on all my stuff, and it just adjusts the volume for you, and then you can easily just bypass all the plugins and see if there's an actual difference. So if I can bypass, there's not much difference. So as we go through this, you'll see heaps of gain match. It'll be on everything. Otherwise, just some side chain. I use the Cubase. I think it's 1176 copy. All I'm doing with that is just filtering through the whole song.
If you want to get down, just sweat for me, go right now.
Just use the Cubase filter. Also send to a delay and send to a reverb as it builds up.
Just sweat for me, go right now. Two-step for me, go right now. If you want to get down.
And that's the vocal, pretty much it. So next part down here. Actually, let's just jump down to the drums. So here's my drum tracks down the bottom here. I tried to use quite a short punchy kick drum on this one. Let's go through each little part. So we got the kick. Because I make electro, I call it electro, I often use the small punchy snares. You can hear it in there. Clap. Clap just before the snare to try and get that kind of, someone said to me before, like in the pocket groove or that little bit of swing. You can see it comes just before the snare. Rim shot in the next track. Got a big shot down here. Just comes just for make a bit of drama. Okay, so with a lot of For Life songs, I really love going in on the hats. Like I really enjoy making a groove, but I'll play a lot with like the grid and with volumes. You can see the grid here. I do the swing myself by just moving around. So you can see the grid here. I change a lot of the volumes of things just to try and make it swing a little bit. I don't actually use the swing, but I just move it myself until I think it sounds like it has groove. Like if you listen to the hats. And that's what it looks like. It's just a bit off the grid. You can see this is snapped, but it's got that little bit of nothing at the start. I bust them, cut the lows. Whoa, I put a lot of highs in that and just a bit of soothe. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on my bassline groove and my hats. This has got so far. Oh, by the way, I've got two side train channels here. I've got one that's just on every 1, 2, 3, 4, and one that's every bar. And I just have them separate to my kick because I like to make them shorter so I have more control over the release, which I'll show you when I get to some pads. But I have two. I just have their volume turned down so you can't hear them. I don't know why that's 16. And I just send them to pads in different places, which we'll go to in a second. So let's just keep the get for the drums. We'll kick, clap, hats. There's got a sound here that's not even on. No. That. Whew. And then mainly just for a bit of vibe. This one here. I love this. Just makes it sound a bit more, and I've got it playing again down here. So I just pulled this out of this loop and I pitched it so it would be the correct pitch. So you can see here I've transposed it up 15 semitones, so it'd be in tune with the song. So it's out of this loop. Okay, let's keep going through the track. So that's the drums. I've got a break section down the end here, which is just for the build-up, or just has some percussion in it. Still the gong, so the gong carries through the energy through here. Oh, and here's my my drum bus up the top here, so let's just have a look at that. Let's just play the drums. So I use Gullfoss mainly for clarity. It just seems to make space. It's supposed to remove and add frequencies you do and don't want. Like, I can't hear a lot of difference, but so I've got that on. I've got a tape just for a bit of color. The best way to see what I was doing is, again, I've got gain match, so we can just quickly flick everything on and off. So let's just do that. But otherwise than that, I have a soothe, just on the default, bus compressor. And now if we do the gain match bypass, we'll see how much this actually makes a difference. So gain match is just getting the volumes right. Turn everything off. But it makes a huge difference. On. Such a handy plugin just to go, my plugin's actually doing something good. You know, I have it everywhere. So let's keep going. Probably the thing I spend the most time on is the groove of my bass. I very much like to try and think like a bass guitar player. When a bass guitar player hits a string, he hits it differently every single time. You know, there's no possible way for him to do that. So I've got my MIDI part up here, but I had to bounce it because I was running out of computer power. And then I've got my automation here. So I've got automation on probably top frequencies and release. So filter and release. Normally, I'll even automate the filter on a lot of notes like this, just because if someone hits a bass guitar string harder, it might let through more high frequencies, and they hit it softer, might let through less high frequencies. So I like to try and make it move a lot and sound like it has rhythm and groove. You can also see here in my MIDI part, I've got pitch bend going up on this note. Dun, dun, dun. So to give that a bit more movement, so let's go again. And I make a lot of the notes different lengths. Now, there's no swing on this, but different volumes will give the perception of swing. Softer will sound later than something that came earlier. So I end up, in the end, I did end up using this automation, which opens and closes the filter, but I did do a bit of filter automation here. It comes up. And this is the volume this is my sends. There's a filter there. And off. When it drops, so it sounds like this in the song. You can barely hear the effects that much, but... And then all those send effects off. So this is my whole bass kind of section, really. Even though there's one track here, sometimes I have two tracks. It goes into a bus. And the bus, again, has Gullfoss. I love it. And not too much else, really. Like, most of the processing for this one is done here. Again, it's just compressor, an EQ, a sidechain. That's kind of all the processing I have on the bass. Sidechain, compressor. It's not a lot, really. The synth I used for this, I have the Roland Cloud, and it was this guy, the SH2. I find the controls in this a bit fiddly, like you move it just a little bit and you'll get a lot of change. So I find it a little hard to work with, but I still am convinced that the Roland Boutique synths just sound more full and have more life. They use a lot of processor power. I've had to freeze a lot of stuff in this track. It's a shame because I want to use the Roland Cloud plugins more, or the synths more, but sometimes I have to be really careful on my little computer. So let's just go through the other parts. We've got an extra vocal bit here, which is just kind of has like the classic radio and extra effects on it, extra sends. So that works with the vocal here. I forgot this last time actually. So if you hear that with the vocal.
Two-step for me, go right now. Two-step for me. Two-step for me, go right now.
With the song.
Two-step for me. Two-step for me, go right now. Two-step for me.
Other synth parts I've got in the songs. Let's just skip down to this bit. So I wrote this second lead to come in this section of the song about halfway through as a new feature. So I continue. So I used two synths for that. I used Massive X. I love Massive X, even though I get really lost in it. I just started to get my head around the old one. If I have something that's got a kind of soft attack, I like to try things over the top. So the other synth in this lead is kind of like a trumpet-like synth. Oh yeah, I'm just getting into this as a vocal synth. A vocal sampler from NI. I got it mainly for hip-hop kind of stuff. I just wanted to give it a go because I never used it. It had like a brass kind of synth sound. So those together. So that's the second lead that comes in about halfway through. I have another line here playing the same thing. That I think I did on Glaze as well. Huh. There you go. Okay, so that's the second lead that comes in there. Now the last few parts, my chords. Oh, sorry, chords and guitars. So here we had, so I've exported all these. I've rendered them all just because my computer couldn't handle it. So this was the Super 8 from Native Instruments. It's like, kind of like a Juno clone. And I have the other two noises on it. They all play the same thing, but that's just a bit of noise. Still playing the chords, you can barely hear it. Another synth, and that just makes a pad bus. Now, I don't intentionally like to stack too much stuff on top of each other, but I will give everything a chance, and this is... So this one's got a sidechain on it, but it's got the slower sidechain. So this sidechains every bar. So it's just with the music. So I like to put that single sidechain there on just the start of each bar. Because sometimes I don't want everything pumping going, just the Okay, and then under that we've got guitar, just two chords. So the guitar, I actually used Guitar Rig 6. And there's just an amp in it that I really like called the Chicago. So I use that. I've exported it, rendered everything just to like save some computer power. But if you do want to, like, I know people say Guitar Rig sounds aren't super, I guess, realistic. I've used this for ages. I like how they sound, so I've just used this one. So I just use a straight D, not D, straight into the high Z input in my, I have an all Antelope interface into the Chicago amp. So I've got three guitar parts. You've got one part playing the chord. Something pick. We've got this other part down here. And then we've got another one here going. That's just a reversed. Da-na-na-na. To playing the chords. This is the guitar bus. And the picking gets a bit more, so that kind of follows the bass there. And that's the whole guitar part. Two chords, the whole song. So the last part here is just a builder pad. So you can see here, I'll just play it. So this is the MIDI part, but I've had to render it and freeze the synth, Massive X. And then it just bends up and down. And the cutoff is automated as well. And then just under the song, just back there with the sidechain on it. And that's it. That's the whole song. You Wanna, out on the 11th of March.